Everybody, welcome to this week's episode of Pensado's Place. It is great to see you. Our guest, and we're going to get right to him, is an amazing story. Quickly not being Hollywood's best kept secret anymore. This guy's gone from living in an abandoned house to multiple Grammys. He's a singer, songwriter, producer, and an amazing guy. Thanks to Josh Goodwin and everybody else for turning us on to him and for him gracing us. Hit us on our socials and enjoy our conversation with Aldae. What's happening, man?
Thank you, man. Very kind words. Shout out to Josh Goodwin. Just got back to LA from spending a month in New York, and I'm just getting back into a routine. Did a little workout this morning and showered, and now I get to talk to you guys. So I'm just gonna be smiling a lot today.
And honestly, we rarely have guests who shower. So this is
what about the hosts?
Yeah, I didn't even want to go there, but that's another story. I got to tell you, man, in my career, I've worked with lots of soulful folks and one vocalist in particular, Brian McKnight, but through his gifts, I've worked with lots of other folks. Where did this kid from Dallas-Fort Worth area get all this soulfulness? Tell me, where did that come from?
I would have to say my grandmother playing me Ray Charles on repeat. Just as simple as that. Like, I think I just, I have a good appreciation for like artists like Ray Charles, and just subconsciously I always picked up the tone and emotion and applied it just naturally.
Wow. Love that. That is spectacular. And I tell you what is in researching you was just, it stopped being work and just became fun, because I could feel the sensibility of a soul man. That's something you develop. That doesn't just come, you know what I'm saying? And so the idea of how melody plays, but how your vocal emotion accentuates that. And you have the capacity, which is fascinating, to also do it in a way that feels hip hop, almost like a rapper sometimes, man. It is, I mean, I hope I'm getting it right, because that's how I was receiving it. Am I getting it right?
Very well said, man. Like, I couldn't have really worded it better. So, like, nice observations, and it sounds nice worded like that.
Cool. I'm available for hire.
Yeah.
A while back, Aldae dropped by our studio and hung out with Michaela and myself, and we were both so impressed at the way he manipulated us in a positive way. In other words, he has a way of getting what he wants that you don't realize that he's getting what he wants, and it didn't come easy. You lived in an abandoned house. You struggled, man, and I think the music industry still owes you a lot more. You put so much effort and hard life and sweat, and man, my heart goes out to you, and I'm just so happy to see you again.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, let's build that out a little bit so that the audience has context. Usually people that come to Hollywood go through things to get wherever they want to go. And different people have different journeys that they have. We know, all of us together know rich kids who come in and have one path and don't make it. And then there's paths like you took. And basically when you came out here, you did what you had to do to stay alive, essentially. Mm-hmm. Bus tables, do whatever it is, sleep where it was. There's a period of abandoned stuff. But what the takeaway from that, I'm curious about what you would say, is everybody's journey is solo, right? And sometimes our journey is responsible at our own hands. Sometimes we do things to ourselves to get there. And the idea that not only did you get there, and this is the point I'm trying to get to, is you've gotten there spectacularly. Not a little bit, not a little. The talent overrode the hardships. And I sometimes say, and tell me if you agree, sometimes the hardships strengthen you. They make your knife sharp. They get your tool ready. Do you agree?
Definitely. Like, thickens your skin. When you hear no, it's not necessarily a no, it's just not right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it just prepares you just for a longer marathon rather than anything quick. And it makes you really grateful too when you have to wait and fight for every small W. So that's what I would say about that.
And also songwriters throughout the course of time and in the future, and you're representative of this, songwriters, producers, artists, sometimes their greatest work comes from a place of pain, comes from hardship, comes from what they know and the stories and stuff. And when you're a soul man, part of that is emoting emotion and pain and sometimes joy, sometimes sexiness, sometimes all that. And when your body's filled up with all them stories, it can come out that way. Yeah.
Definitely. Just like every time I do go to deliver a vocal, I'm definitely like channeling an emotion that I have to feel. And, it's definitely, very an emotional process and something that I do channel all those things that you mentioned every single time.
Describe channeling. Are you saying like you bring them to the forefront of your mind and then you remember the bad times and let that filter through your emotional delivery?
It's not necessarily like tapping into an experience. It's more so just like using all of those emotions to convey like one bigger emotion. It's like everything's in the database, and it's just like a release of all that. I don't tap into one thing in particularly. It's there as my foundation. I'm just using it as a release.
Yeah.
One of the benchmarks about you that I've known for a long time is screw genre. Whatever you want to do, you do it. And if you don't want it, go someplace else. I mean, you're not that bad with an attitude. That's just my bad attitude speaking. But explain to us why you create in a genreless frame of mind, because I love it. And I think that's the future of music.
Yeah, I think, genre can be a limitation and it can box you in. And when there's a genre before you hear the music in front of the music, it can already lead somebody to think that it's something that it's not. I kind of use my tone as like the common thread, but I do like to, shift from different genres. And the reason I do like to do that is because it's just, I find it more interesting. I kind of tell people like, well, you wouldn't want to wear the same outfit every single day. Some people would argue and be like, yes, I do. But for me, I like to switch it up and keep it fresh and challenge myself. And also, simply put, I just like to write and sing over things that I just feel. And sometimes that might be upbeat. It might have more of a hip hop sensibility. It might be more pop, more soul. If I feel it and can hear melodies, I don't limit it to a genre.
And I got to tell you, I think part of that, I'm guessing, and this is for our audience, is why somebody with your particular skills and your growth and your perseverance is now, writing and doing sessions with Jason Evigan and Ryan Tedder and Rodney Jerkins and so many more Murder Beats, because you are universal and you can flip and go where it needs to go. We often say, break rules, man. Don't stay inside something. Break rules and redo it. Certainly we think this show was that. When we came along, people thought we were absolutely psychotic. Like, what are you doing and who gives a shit? Well, a whole bunch of people did, as it turned out. You know what I'm saying? But that comes with a lot of thought and a lot of tries and a lot of, but break shit is really what's going on. When
I
you
like that.
compose, yeah, absolutely. When you compose, do you do it with? Do you play anything? How does your writing go musically?
To answer, do I play anything? I can play guitar and piano enough to write a song.
Okay.
Usually have friends replay it because there's just a higher level that I want sonically.
Yep.
I love to write to chords and stripped so I can really hear the song. And I like to get the framework and the blueprint and make sure that the foundation is very well rooted. There's a lot of beats that can trick you and oh, this sounds dope. But when you strip something, you can hear every bit to know if it's a good song. And that's how I approach most of every.
One of the things that in my crazy journey, in our crazy journey, there's certain things that stand out. And I love the show where they eat chicken wings that are on fire. And because the interviewer is literally not just from me, but from other professionals and somebody who's interested in it. He is one of the best interviewers on the planet. And I've seen people in sports and people in news and stuff say the same thing. And during that time under duress, the questions that he gets to are really amazing. And there's a reel of the audience members, of the guests, talking about how amazing an interviewer he is. And these are people who are interviewed by everybody, right? When he interviewed John Mayer said, with his mouth on fire, that Justin Bieber was one of the most brilliant melody people he had ever met in his life. Like there's something like in the top 2 ever. And, John Mayer is a pretty cerebral musician. And when I hear your stuff and think about who you write with, there's elements of that in you too, man. There's something that you tap into that elevates a song, whether you're singing it or somebody else is singing it. So that's my long-winded way of giving you a hats off and a heads up and deuces and all that, because that's rare air to do that. And we all know that the song is key and melody is so important. It infuses your soul with stuff, and you wear a melody. You know what I mean? Like, you don't just hear a melody, a really good melody, you wear it. You can't get the stink off of you for a minute. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's like so funny. And I agree with John Mayer about JB and the fact that he sometimes chooses to sing my melodies is, I don't know if flattering is even a good enough word to that feeling, so I appreciate even being in the same conversation as, John Mayer and Bieber, as well as you guys. So that, yeah, I agree with you.
Listen, when you're bad, you're bad. You can't put it down, dude. Like, I love that you're humble about it. We try to do the same thing, but you've been gifted. And more importantly, you did something with the gift. And that says a lot, says as much about you as the hits. You know what I'm saying? Like you're standing out. Yeah, man. I know the story. My lady is a 22-year recovering, sober person, and what I've learned about that journey, and how it can strengthen it. And she's a badass at what she does. But and you are too. So. The audience should understand that the journey is like this. It's not like that. And it's not just like this. It's like that. And you got to ride those waves. I call it staying up on the surfboard. Mm-hmm. You ain't got to look pretty. You just got to stay up on the board, and then you'll get to the beach. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, that's a good way to put that.
Can you break down a little bit the experience with Unstable? That's one of my favorite songs on the Bieber album.
Thank you.
Yeah. How did that come about? I'm always fascinated how a list of contributors and collaborators can come out with something at all, much less something that great. Did you have to kick some ass or something to get your way?
Always, always have to kick asses and stay on top of people. And, you know, the thing this year, it's all about the follow-up for me. Like, never underestimate the follow-up. Just reminding somebody with the double text, because it's amazing what happens with the follow-up. But back to Unstable. It started with myself, a writer named DeLacy, and Jimmy, one of the producers on the song. And it strictly started prior to the session. Jimmy and I had gathered some chords that I felt like, you know, would be easy to write to. And he had these 3 chords that he played at the beginning of the session. DeLacy actually showed up a bit late, and she came in very flustered. She had just fired her manager that morning. And she was just like, I'm sorry, guys, I'm a bit of a mess. Everything in my life right now feels unstable. And of course, the way I interpret those scenarios, I hear a word and I feel it with an emotion. So I'm like, yeah, that would be sick. And I feel like she also saw it in my eyes when I heard her say that. And she was like, yeah, let's chase that. And Jimmy was like, sick. So he was just crafting the loop. The melodies just came super naturally that day. Sometimes it's fast, sometimes it's not fast. And basically from a first pass, I had the first melody and the chorus melody. At the time, we had a different pre. So went in with DeLacy, did the lyrics to the melodies that we had, different pre-chorus at the time. The session's over. I hold on to this demo for about a year. And I'll live with something for that long and listen to it and, you know, forget about it. But, you know, I try not to leave any money left on the table when I think there's a strong idea. So one day I was at the MXM house, Max Martin's house on Doheny, working with Rami Yakub. And I was like, look, man, like there's a spirit in this song that I don't want to forget about and abandon. But I want to take a look at this pre because there's no seamless transition between the pre to really make the chorus stand out. He listens to it in like 5 minutes. And I look at Rami as a master editor, just years of pop royalty and experience. His first cut was Hit Me Baby One More Time, Britney Spears. Wow. So he has and lots of miles on his brain. He instantly was like, bro, like you're going down each section. Like the verse goes down, the pre goes down, the chorus goes down. He's like, you need to lift the pre. He shows me an example with gibberish. A light bulb flicks off. We now have a new structure. He also puts guitar on the chorus to take it further. I let it sit for another 6 months. And one day I just feel like I can beat the lyrics. Like, so go in, pen the verse, pre and hook again, then send it over to JB's team, which he had another version that he got that he liked, but I naturally just felt like I should make these lyrics better. 2 days later, he cuts those new lyrics. So a lot of divine intervention with this whole song. 1, not letting it go, and 2, being able to tap in people that helped me take it from 90 to 100. And Kid Leroy and Billy Walsh wrote Leroy's verse, which they killed, and they left it stripped. And I think it's a beautiful song. And that's in general how that came about.
Interesting. Wow. How many songs do you have to write to get one placement with a major label?
It's a lot of songs.
It's like more than 50, right?
I would say that's a pretty accurate ratio, 1 in 50. And that's not awful. I'm trying to, you know.
I know some great songwriters, and that's low. Some of the most famous songwriters you know are in the hundreds.
Yeah. You just gotta like. I tell people it's like a gold miner has to go into the mountain to get the gold. So when you
that's brilliant.
You ride that wave, like you have to go on a surfboard to catch a wave. So if you stay in, the probability is higher every time. So, and You just got to stay in the gym with it.
So when
surfing is one of the few sports that every time you get on the board, you crash. So it goes from, oh, go, good, crash. It's the only sport where crashing is part of the sport. Sorry, everybody cut you off.
The as you sit now, and there's a science to handling success too. It's almost everybody knows how to be unsuccessful, but very few people know how to deal with success, because it comes with all kinds of different things: pressures, deadlines, expectations, pigeonholing, and it's very important for creative people to maintain their creativity during the crucible of success. Have you learned how to handle it, how to keep it away from you so your craft isn't messed with and moving forward?
Like for me, I'm a very self-aware person, and I know that what is given to you can be taken away faster than it was given to you.
Yes.
So I always tell people, like, don't believe in your own hype, because the same way you were delivered from obscurity and brought from the back of the line to the top, that rug can be yanked right underneath your feet. So for me, it's just like not believing my own hype, staying in the gym with it, like as a metaphor, staying in the studio, and just basically like, I'm using success as leverage to, get into other rooms that I couldn't. And that's basically the only thing that's changed, is I guess more access, more artists are able to hear what I've done instead of going off of speculation. But other than that, just not much has changed. To maintain success, you have to maintain the work. And also, I treat my body like I'm in the Olympics. Like I have to get a certain amount of rest. I have to work out every morning just to give myself a fighting chance, like for happiness and to operate at my highest level of creativity. So all those.
It's very much like sports. We make sports analogies all the time, and team ball, collaboration, attention to your physicality, attention to your mental health, eating right, resting right, having a support system, the team around you, knowing when you should have the ball, knowing when you should pass it, practice. Like it's very much the same kind of ethos. And I think that's partially what makes it so cool, because if you do those things, you are a more happy, engaged, balanced person, probably getting paid, not a bad thing. You know what I'm saying? And so we try to share that with the audience all the time, because our audience is so broad. And, like when we're giving speeches, I'll often say, don't get it twisted. Dave and I'll dunk on you. Like, don't get the age and all that shit messed up. We will take you to the hole. And it's like that competitive fire, that's part of it. It's like, bring it. If you're not bringing it, then I don't have time. And what's beautiful about your gift is that as you maintain that balance, your art gets even better. You know what I'm saying?
100% facts. Like, and I'll kind of go off of like, keeping your mind clear. Like growing up, Lil Wayne, loved him. His tone was amazing. He smoked weed. I thought that was a recipe for a cool tone and good music. I'm not dissing anybody that smokes weed, right? Because I did it for you.
Right.
But a lot of that is an illusion. What you can tap into with a sober mind, like that is the mind you're given. And when it's clear, the level of creativity for me has been exponentially better than if I was buzzed off liquor or on weed or whatever. Like, and yeah, man, it's like never sleep on your natural high. Because when you can dive into that well too, it's also more consistent, because you don't have to be high to do the second verse you did on that day.
I think that is very important for people, you know, in a time where certain things are relaxed and legislation is changing, and people oftentimes don't understand that overuse of something, while you can do it, it's not necessarily good for you to do it. And that self-discipline and all that kind of stuff. And you know what's crazy to me that's so simple is, if you want to be successful, copy success. And if you look at the best who do it over time, not the ones that flare and go away, you'll see a consistent set of principles. And it has a lot to do with perseverance, work history, staying current, staying clear, physically correct, all the stuff you just described. And, you know, if you don't want to be successful, which is your right, there's plenty of ways to go. But if you want to be great, if you want to have ambition, there's ways to do it. The other thing that I think, and I'm curious from your perspective, I often think with songwriters that their songs are their children. They're really their babies. It's an emotional relationship. Do you have songs that are your favorite more than other favorites that have come out of Aldae? Is there anything that you just go, oh, that's my baby, 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 baby?
I recently wrote one about a week ago that I just like. It feels like that. Too Much, which came out on Justice. I always felt like that. They definitely come, you know, like not every song I write is my favorite, and right. I don't live with every song that I write, but there's those some that I live with on the treadmill, that I listen to in the car, and definitely look at them as children. That's why it's important finding the right parents to hand them over.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got a two-part question. That kind of related. How do you know when the melody you've written hasn't been done before, and how do you know when you're done?
How do I know the melody hasn't been done before? Well, I kind of just go in, you know, and freestyle, and you kind of just pray that it hasn't been done before. Like, and you kind of just have to, you know, think.
Not worry about it.
Wait, what's up?
I said, just have to not worry about it, right?
Yeah, and like there's great musicologists that can flag things. None of my personal melodies have ever been flagged, and I think like it's kind of good because I for example, like Drake. I've seen a lot of people like copy Drake melodies. Like Drake is so good, I don't really listen to Drake because I'm worried about that I might be too influenced of Drake's melodies. So it's like I'll go listen to like Apple Music jazz before going into a studio, or Ray Charles melodies that I couldn't even, they don't apply to the task at hand. And I think that's been something that helps me not copy any melodies. Like I don't just go study like a billion hits before I go in. And I think that is like been helpful. And then your second part of the question was, how do you know when something's done?
Mm-hmm.
That's my problem.
Oh, like, dude, like I just explained a song that I was tweaking for a year and a half. I think it's just kind of done when it's released, you know? And like when out there and that bird flies, that's when it's done to me. And I have to just like accept it, because I'm always, the older I get, the more I want to tinker with and detail something.
That's cool.
Well, it's also... It's the sign of a craftsman. A craftsman's never satisfied with their craft. You know, there's always something you can, if I just move this way, it'll, you know, that's what I call the, you know, I have a problem with going to sleep, because that's when my creativity stuff is at night, and I can just get stuck on something, and I'm just overutilizing it and so on and so forth. And then the worst part is, I will be in a moment that I think is brilliant, and then I'll send it to 5 friends at 4 o'clock in the morning, and then wake up in the morning and go, "Oh, that wasn't shit. Why did I do that?" You know, because you have to get in it and then step back and look at it, then get back in it and step back and look at it. All right, so now we come to batter's box, because we have such a brilliant talent here. We've got a mixture of Texas.
Thank you, Herb.
Yeah, my pleasure, Dave. We have a mixture of Texas by way of LA. And, you know, that's always somebody's physically fit, working out every day. So I expect this batter's box to be a killer. Dave, are you ready?
I am, yeah.
Aldae's ready now. He's ready. So tee it up. Here we go.
Harmonies.
Bonus.
Chords.
Essential.
Yes.
Favorite synthesizer.
Moog.
Favorite BPM or tempo.
105.
Guitar.
Acoustic.
Background vocals.
Candy.
Well, he's good, Herb. I'm panicking here. I might have to get a substitute pitcher. Vocal mic.
Sony C800.
Major chords or minor chords? Or
Minor.
keys? What do you have a favorite piece of outboard gear?
Neve 1073.
If your studio caught fire, what piece of gear would you try to save?
The Sony C800.
Yeah, pretty much. And you know what? And he did it with a little bit of swagger. See,
he was messing with me, man. He was showing off.
Well, remember some of his peers. Remember, Josh is a Marine.
That's true.
You know, it's efficient, well done all day.
Yeah, that's one of the best batter's boxes we've ever had.
Thanks.
I mean, he whooped some ass right then. You excited about what's to come?
Definitely. Like, you know, I'm just blessed to be in a place that I'm excited to wake up. Like, yeah. I can't wait to wake up every day just to get back to work. And I'm in now like a season where I'm really emphasizing trying to create a classic catalog, and I feel amazing, man. Like I'm really blessed to be able to do this. Like,
yeah, we all are. We often say that it's a privilege to be a steward of pop culture. You know what I'm saying? Not everybody gets the shot, and you need to be responsible about it. And yes, indeed, given what's going on with classic catalogs, yes, create your classic catalogs. There's some amazing things going on in that space. But I would tell you, as for guys who've been around for a minute, there are signatures and evidences and indicators of that our business is in good hands, and you represent every bit of that coming and going. And man, keep contributing, keep doing your thing. Never lower your bar, raise your bar. Show people that that's how you get there, man, by being the best you can be, not being everybody's everything. And that's what makes you stand out. Know that this platform is yours anytime you need it, brother.
Yeah, man.
I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. Dave, take us home.
Okay, guys. One of the things that struck me in a major way is the importance of a clear mind. And Aldae gave us some hints at how to achieve that. Go into yourself and be in touch with yourself, is what he said, and improve your focus and take time to learn that, how to focus. Then take your clear mind and rock on and go for it. It's simultaneously one of the easiest things you can do and absolutely one of the hardest things to do. And which way you go is determined by your aggressiveness to get successful.